All right, welcome Sketchbook Heroes. We're going to be drawing a cat tonight, and then other stuff, probably perspective, something with perspective and a little bit of shading. We're going to start off with this cat. Notice the cat before you start drawing it. There's two parts, the head and the body. And what's bigger, the head or the body? The head is bigger, so that's proportions, how big something is compared to something else. So you're looking at the head, and you can see the body. They're almost the same size, but the head wins out just a little bit. Another thing, we're going to break it down even before we start drawing. Just kind of, it's good to kind of look at stuff and see how things are. Then you can notice a slight tilt to it. And I'm trying to find the middle, and you can see the eyes are a little bit above the middle, actually quite a bit above the middle. There's a little bit of a pull on the top. It's not an exact oval. There's a little bit of a pull on the circle on the top. And if I get a perpendicular line straight that way, it would probably be like that. Let me move it over. It's good to observe what you're going to draw before you just even start whacking away at it. And then here we go. Here's this shape here. I wonder if it's a perfect square. That's a perfect square. All right in there, really close. It's probably just a little bit thinner at the top and wider at the bottom. There we go. So if we were to get that square, you can see how that square fits right there. And then we can actually get that square and move it up here, which is really cool. Now you can see that the head is definitely bigger than the body. All right, so you're making these observations. You're making these observations as an artist. And that's why you see artists going like this with their thumb and looking for angles, looking for ratios, looking for the proportions, right? They're looking for all this stuff. All right, let's jump into this. A little bit of a shadow in there. Did I put it in the chat? Yes, I did. All right, cool. I can't print it, sorry. Okay, everybody got it? Let's do this. Okay, stop sharing. Get some paper. All right. Uh-oh. This paper isn't blank. Down. Here we go. Move my keyboard. Paper out. All right, so we're going to sketch it. I see just some finished drawings tonight. That's great. But also the foundation is the sketch. The sketch is the foundation. And sometimes I had an art teacher that told me, beware of the all-knowing hand. And I didn't, because I would always do just finished drawings. And just like, finished drawings and timed drawings, sometimes you want to do fast drawings. Sometimes you want to do slow drawings. Sometimes you want to do sketching. And sometimes you want to do drawing. But when you're first learning, sketching is actually good, but you need to know what you're looking for. So I'm going to try to aim for the shape of the head, which there's a slight angle to it. Slight angle. Maybe I'm putting a little bit too much of an angle, straighten it out just a little bit. And it's not quite an oval. It is, but I can start off with an oval. That shape right there. And it does just pull up slightly. I can add to it just a little bit to the top. It does pull up slightly. So you get this kind of like a drop, a water drop kind of shape. There it is. There's my sketch. I'm looking at my height and my width. And I think it's probably a little bit less wide. So I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. And zoom in. There we go. That's good. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. And I usually use pen. I've been using pen all year. Last week I used pencil. Today I'm using pencil again. And notice all my scratchy marks. It's a sketch. It's sketching it in, trying to find the shape. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. Sometimes you just nail it. Oh. And yes?
What kind of pencil do you use? HB?
I'm using this outline drawing pencil. It's by Prang. Yeah, it's outline HB. It's an HB. That's what it is.
HB? Okay.
HB, yeah. HB is right in the middle. Yeah, you don't really worry about it, pencils. You'll until you get into shading, because that's definitely intermediate to advanced. All right, so there we go. Here's that. And then the body goes underneath, and it's a little bit smaller. Remember, we saw it about that big, so I can get that measurement there and just bring that down and say, okay, there's the body. And it was almost square there. See, so I can already see that mushroom shape. There we go. We have that mushroom. Looks like a mushroom. Little side angle to it. Looks like a mushroom. All right. Why did the mushroom go to the party? Because he was a fun guy. All right.
Oh my God.
You are so funny. You are too fun guy.
That's oh my gosh.
It's a fun.
It's cheesy fun.
Yeah, cheesy fun. Yeah, I like the cheesy stuff. That's silly. Why did he leave the party? Because there wasn't much room. Oh, gosh, cheesy. I know a pizza joke, but it's too cheesy. Bringing out the cheese. All right, so you can see I had my square. And what about them Dodgers? I had this square. Now I actually went a little bit wider with it as it pulls it out. That's why it's good to see the shapes. It's good to see the foundation. And then I'm looking here, and I'm putting both paws together, and I'm seeing how they fit right there. I can see that spot, right? So I'm gonna do one not paw. It's actually a whole arm. It's just this U shape. One arm there, and the other one's a little bit smaller, really close to it, right in there. See, so it's learning to see the parts in the whole, even two parts that are different or separate as one part, and that helps kind of like fit it and see how it all fits together. Right in there. Whoa. There we go. I want to do detail yet. All right, we're gonna focus on the face. Here we go. So I got the shape of the head pretty good. Let's do the ears. Ears just come straight up right in this area here, like a little triangle.
Hey, Laddie, is there a picture?
Yes, there is. I put it in the chat. Maria, running late. Here, I'll put it in the chat again.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There it is. And then, we'll get the other side. Same thing. A little triangle. It's a rounded triangle. Put it on the other side, just like that. There's a slight angle to the whole head. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, it's okay. It's practice. It's shooting the baskets. You don't hit the baskets all the time. And that's all right. And here with the eyes, right where actually the body, that's where I think the eyes should kind of fit the top part. I can see both eyes together, just like this I saw together. I can see the eyes together. That helps kind of like seeing it as one piece, and it helps get it centered. So my eyes are not one eye way up here, one eye way down here, right? So I can see the top and the bottom. We're gonna go a little bit lower right there. So my eyes should fit somewhere on there, and I'm sketching it. I can clean this up with my eraser later, but it's just a sketch. All right, here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and put the eye in right in there, right about there, and the other one right about there. Pretty big eyes. That's good. And then right in between, that's where the eyes are going. I'm not worrying about any detail actually yet. That's it. I think we're ready for the detail. Just about the nose, right about there. Upside down triangle, rounded triangle, just like the ears. They echo the ears. There's that nose. And then the cute little mouth. Right about there, like that. Oops. All right, fixing it because it went off. And if you look closely, there's a little bit of a highlight at the top, a little bit of shading. I won't, if you get it, you get it. Actually, I'm not getting it too well. There it is. All right, so there's a lot of detail in these eyes. they're very stylized. They're not realistic. So it almost has an iris. Cats do have an iris, but their pupils are usually not this big. So that would be the top part. And then you have the iris, which is broken into 4. There's one right in the middle. That's good, right? See that one right in the middle? And then just break that in half again, half and half. That's a good way to do it. See how many there are. See where the middle one is, if there's middle, and then yeah, half and half. All right, there's one eye. Now the highlight of the eye, there's a circle highlight right in there, one, and then the second one a little bit smaller to the right of that. If I'm going too fast, I'll slow down a little bit. I know that robot, we were really rocking and rolling on that one. I was looking at the time. And for beginning, yeah, I definitely want to slow down. When you're learning, it's good to go slow when you're learning, you know. There's a lot to learn, trying to get it, you know. You're playing the long game. And then the more you practice, the faster you get. Then you'll be taking those 20-minute art battle challenges. Art battle, May 11th. All right, artbattle.com. There's one eye. Now we got to get the other eye to kind of match it. All right, so there we are. It's already in there. Cute cat, cool cat. There was I was up north, Sebastopol, near Santa Rosa. There was a coffee place called the Coffee Cat. Coffee Cat. That's cute. Cute little place. There's my circle. Try to match it as much as I could. And then the iris, bottom part, a little bit less. There we go. See, I can adjust it. All right, let's see. This one has 4 as well. Now notice how I break it in half. I notice how many are there, how many there are. And I can see that there's 1. I can see there that breaks that in half, and then eyeballing it to eyeballing the eyeball to see the other 2 half lines right there, just like that. And it's a cute blue. So if you're using colors, some color there. Now the highlights, again, the one on the left is bigger. And then the one on the right is a little smaller. There we go. And then I'm shading it all in. All right. There you go. I was last week, I think our beginning one, we picked a hard, tough drawing for the beginning. I'm like, a little more towards the intermediate. This is definitely pretty close to beginning. Really good, simple shapes. And then we'll get to that next cat. The next cat, I'll try to simplify it, and then we'll do it twice. We'll do a bunch of cats tonight. The cats meow. All right, that looks good. Okay, we got the ears. Let's go from top to bottom. There's an inside, the inner ear. There we go. And it's pink. I'm just going to slightly shade it real quick. There we go. I think my right eye is a little bit smaller than my left eye. That's okay. And then the other inner ear on the right. Yeah, it's good to go big shapes to small shapes, but you can always break those rules. But you know, when you're first learning, you definitely want to try to see the big shapes first. All right, he's got 3 stripes on the top of his head, and they're just oval shapes. Let's do the center one first, right in the middle. Right there. We should give props to whoever drew this. Let's see. Winduff. Oh, no. Let's see if I can go to their website. Paste again. Yeah, there we go. Backspace. There we go. Oh, page not found. I don't know. Huh, whoever that is. Well, we tried to give you props. It's a simple cat. And notice the spacing, all the space down here. This is where beginning artists have trouble seeing the space and how things are. That's why seeing the halves and the fourths and the fractions and the parts, because there's all the space. And the eyes are above the middle. And then here we go. The other two stripes. One, they're just little ovals. 1, 2, simple oval shapes. There we go. Round out the top. I'm going to shade it in. A little bit of shade. Practice shading. I'm just going back and forth to fill it in. Sometimes I do circles. All right, that's looking good. Here we go. 2 more stripes since we're on the stripes. I'm going to clean up my edges, sharpen them up. Yeah, sometimes the thickness of line, I try to keep an eye out. These don't really have thick lines. But there's one up here, another oval stripe and another oval below that. We have some whiskers that are going to be going in between. So make sure you have that space. There you go. On the other side, 1 and 2. There we go. And then I'm going to shade them in as well. Shade, shade, shade. And if I'm going too slow, feel free to do another cat. Feel free to do a mouse. Feel free to create a story. Use your imagination, because we just copy here. And that's just one way to draw. Copying is just one way to draw. The other way to draw is using your imagination. And they both go hand in hand, because the more you practice one and then practice the other, it'll help you. So it's just trying to remember this cat from memory. Trying to draw it. Okay, it was a round head, this, that. See how much it's good. You know, it's a good mental exercise to try to draw it from memory. All right, there's a little bit of a collar, and then there's a heart right underneath that. Heart shape. We broke down the heart the other day. There's heart shape. And we need the tail and more stripes and shadows. There's a little bit of, we won't worry about the shadows just yet. Do the tail. Okay, so the tail, this is actually good to see this shape here. And this actually helps this oval shape here. See where it's placed. See, you see this oval shape? And you can see that where it's at, right about there. And then I just attach it. I attach it to the body, and that helps a lot. See that oval shape, and then just attach it to the body. The little S, backwards S shapes. They should probably curve a little bit more. Ta-da! All right, we're getting there. Clean it up. Erase. Clean up the face just a little bit. If it's a sketch, you know, I don't know, you can just leave it. I mean, you really want to practice your drawing, not your erasing. There it is. Yeah, especially when you get too caught up trying to make things perfect. All right, there's let's do the stripes on the tail. There's one here, and it's actually pretty cool. The tail, there is quite a bit of form when it comes to the shading. We'll talk about that when we get to the shading in a minute. There's this part here. That part probably a little bit thinner. I probably drew it thicker than it should. What is? And I'll just shade it flat, and then I'll talk about shading the form afterwards. That one, and then that one. 3 little stripes on the tail. All right, let's do 2 more stripes on the body on one side and 2 on the other, and then a little more detail. We're just about done. There's that oval there, that oval there. Get it to fit. Thank you for coming out tonight. All right, fun stuff, fun stuff. Cute little cat. Reminds me of the cat from Shrek. Those eyes looking up at you. All right, just shading it in, shading it in. All right, now we're just missing little details on the face. So we're missing the whiskers, 2 little whiskers on each side. 1, 2. Another one over here. 1, 2. I'm not getting it accurate. I'm just putting them in. And then the eyebrows. It has 2 little eyebrows. 1, 2. Right about that. There we go. So that would be pretty much done. But I know there's the next level. The next level, there's a little bit of shading here and there that makes it more 3-dimensional. If you can get it and want to try to go for it. Including the stripes, actually, the stripes, if you look carefully, there's a light side to the stripe, right? So I'm actually going a little bit darker and leaving that still a bit of a shade on there. That's value on there, on that side, right at the tip. Same thing with these ones on this other side. Not going as dark as the eye, because this is the darkest part. As dark as you can go, probably go a little bit darker. Pushing the pencil a little bit more. Trying to get more values. There we go. And then there's a little bit of a shadow all the way around here, making this, instead of a shape, a form. Making it more of an egg shape, oval shape, spherical. And that little bit of a shadow goes all through here. And, even on the collar. Collar has a core shadow. This is the core shadow, the darkest part of the shadow. Reflected light. So the core shadow doesn't go all the way to the end. If you notice, let me zoom in a little more. Yeah, the core shadow is right there. And then you have the reflected light usually. And then there's a highlight on this side of the collar. So I would probably go all the way in here, shade it.
Eladio?
Yes.
What do you mean by a core shadow?
A core shadow is the darkest part of the shadow. It's the core, and that's what they call it. It's the core shadow. On a sphere, you have this like the different parts of the shadow of yeah. So it'd be like the core of the shadow. That core. It's called the core shadow. Let's take a look. Actually, right after this, I'm going to show the cat again. So we'll do the different. And I came across one time where they really named all the parts of the shading and the light. Yeah, because same thing with the highlight. You have the highlight. It's also called the specular light. They're just technical names. There's that highlight, specular. It's the core. You'll see it as you observe and looking at lights and darks. It's more intermediate to advanced. All right, and then there's a little bit of a shadow all the way around it here. And then that shadow actually cuts up in here from that. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I'll probably clean this side up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, try not to get caught up with my eraser. And then the tail. So now the tail here, there's a whole shadow that kind of cuts through here, a little bit darker, and then here a little bit lighter, here a little bit darker, and then here not as dark. And it's pencil control. I'm not pressing as hard. And then here I'm going to press a little harder. And I lost a little bit of that light side on that side as it comes up, and then it wraps around there. And there's no shadow underneath it, but I would probably add a shadow. Oh, the shadow does reach over here on this one. That's just shadow of the head. And I would probably add a little bit of shadow underneath this whole drawing just to give it something solid. There you go. And what would the mouse look like? I would probably say I'm gonna just do a quick mouse. Like that. Oh, you can't see it. I did it too fast. And out of the camera. That's all right. I wasn't watching. A little bit of a mouse. Adding to the story. Simple half circle mouse, making it actually more of a form now, sphering it. All right, there it is. All right, so we're gonna go back to our screen. That was 26 minutes. We're gonna go and let's look at our screen again. And then look at another cat. So there's that cat. And then let's look at our keyboard. I just threw it to the side here. Oh, it's usually on this bottom shelf. All right, here we go. Want to look at oh, shadows. Is it shadows? Shading, shadows.
Be dismissed.
Shading. Core shadow. If I type up the core shadow.
And then
Highlights.
zoom out. Thank you, Eladio.
Highlights. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Shading light and basic forms. Images. Let's see if you have. Here we go. Yeah, you can see the center light, halftone, the core shadow. Look, you see there's a core shadow, the reflected light. Because light bounces. Here we go. Look at this one. The core of the shadow. Oh, look at that. Yeah, and the cast shadow, reflected light. And usually this is a really strong light. Actually, it's not realistic. And those are just the parts. This one's probably better. Cast shadow. There's also something called occlusion. It's a type of shading. I'm trying to find the best one. Highlight. This one's probably the most realistic. And you can see the core shadow. You can see the reflected light, how light bounces. Cast shadow. That's in shadow, and then you have the core shadow. Yeah, pretty much. So that's what the core shadow is. So yeah, intermediate to advanced. If you want to, it's good to know and practice it, but you know, that comes. And somebody actually, there's a few last week and this week, somebody asked about dynamic drawing. Dynamic drawing is, yeah, definitely advanced. You want to learn this basic stuff here first. Even this one has a bit of an expression. And then getting more dynamic is like really pushing your drawings, you know, but you got to understand the stuff first, and then you get dynamic like this. This is definitely more dynamic. This is a really nice pose. And this is not real. This is actually, I don't think that's a picture. I think that's I don't know. Maybe it is a picture. It looks like it was, I'd have to take a closer look.
Claudio, to do the shading, you have to know
I've
where the
seen
light
pictures
source
to
is.
bring light and shadow into your designs.
You have to know where the light source is in
Yeah, I
order
think
to do the shadow.
Might be a design. I can't zoom in anymore. Yeah, I think it's I don't know. Might have been photoshopped. It's got really nice lighting to it. Because this doesn't look real. And this looks real. Interesting. Light source. All right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is definitely when you're getting to more advanced stuff. But something I kind of like, I would always shade really soft, but really light really works where it really just hits one area and then it really kind of goes off like a moon, this moon shape. You get more of this moon shape, really. This light really doesn't go as soft unless it's a really soft light, but that's very rare. Usually have a really strong light. All right, let's go to our cat. Let's do the cat. All right, so we're gonna do this cat. All right, yeah, we're gonna draw this cat. Let's draw this cat and then we'll share. So feel free if we're going too slow, if I'm looking and kind of like, feel free to, oh, I can't even look at it. Oh, it must be because of Pinterest. I can't zoom in on it. So I'll have to do this. Yeah, feel free to do your own kind of drawing, add to it. Here we go. I will do a simple version and then I'll do a more complex version of this. So you can see what that looks like. Copy that, put it in the chat. There we go. It's a good point about knowing where the light is coming from. Would love to do more on this. Yeah, definitely. Where the light source. That's definitely intermediate to advanced. So yeah, definitely we can mention it a little bit right now when we do this cat drawing, because definitely you can see that light sources up from above to the right. On this side, there's more shadow, even though it's all black. light source a little bit from, mostly from this side, from the right, definitely not the left. And it bounces, light bounces everywhere. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna be doing this drawing. All right, let's do it. I'm gonna do it on the same page. All right, let's stop sharing. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna do a simplified version of it. So you can see just, I was gonna do it on the same page. Let's get a new page. A simplified version of it. Let me sharpen the pencil a little bit. All right, so it's really simplified. I'm gonna do the head. There's the head. That's a little bit of an oval shape, almost circular, almost really close to circle. It's just slightly wider than a circle, and then the body is also all right in here, like a circle. You see, yeah, I can see these circles, and then there's the a little bit of an oval that it's attached to it. So here, I'll do these two circles here, or ovals. These two oval shapes. There we go. One oval, another oval, and then I'm going to add the tail and stuff. But basically, that's it. This complex shape. So you have this oval shape, and then the back leg, the hind leg. Is it hind? Huh. The back leg here just comes in like that, and everything else just falls together. This comes out, and then this arm is like an oval shape, and then a circle shape right there. The paw. How big it is. Notice how big it is compared to the body as well. That's another thing. If you need to make it a little bigger, like I think I am going to, I'm going to make it a little bigger. And it's okay because all this is dark. So cat. You can almost even see a little bit of the paws right in there. There's like 3 paws, I would say. So I'm going to add the ears. They're triangular. One there. One there. And just like our cartoon cat. The eyes, just like our cartoon cat. Here's our center. They're resting on the center. They're resting on the center. So if you eyeball the center of our oval or circle, they're resting right on top of that. And I'm going to use my axis line here in the middle to find a good spot for them. They are kind of like almond shape. They're a bit of an almond shape. And actually, we might not have to. We're actually going pretty close to realistic here. There we go. So you get a little bit of an almond shape, almost round. There's just a slight almond shape. And you can see that axis line, that angle. I can see that's a good thing to do. Look at the inside point and the outside point of that almond shape, and you can see that angle. On this one, it's not as easy to see, but it is higher up. This one is higher up. Also pointing in. So yes, definitely intermediate drawing to maybe even advanced. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. The eyes have their football shape like this. And all that is really 2 circles overlapping. It would be 2 circles overlapping to get that Pisces shape. So there is a highlight in it. I don't want to lose my highlight. So I'll do the second line a little bit lighter. Well, I won't worry about it. Just get it in there. Yeah, because the highlight goes over it, especially on this left side. There's a little bit of a highlight. This whole article is on how cats, black cats are associated with Friday the 13th and Halloween, and how black cats have had a hard time being adopted on Halloween. I thought they weren't supposed to be adopted. I thought they were banned from being adopted. Or all right, so there's the eyes, and there's a lot of little detail, as far as highlights, and I won't worry about. All right, so I'm going to break this down into major parts. There's like a V shape right in here, right in the middle, like that, because the light's coming that way. The nose, I'll simplify it because it's not a perfect, it is a triangular shape, but yeah, we'll put the triangle shape for now. Triangle shape. And then the, I'm making it, he looks mad. Looks like an angry cat. But yeah, let's see. When we go to shade it, here, this softens him up, his chin. All right, let me see. I'm trying to get some more areas where the shading is going to matter. So there's a little bit of a line right here, another line on the other side as well, like that. And all these lines are going to disappear somewhat when we start shading. A little bit of a shape there. Okay. Another shape here. This line here, that's a piece of an oval. Then another piece of an oval up in here. All right, let's add the tail. The tail is, okay, same thing. I'm gonna do this oval shape again first, like that. Notice the tail. So there's the oval shape, and then I'm gonna add to it because this whips around. This is actually a if we were looking a top view, this would be that kind of like a circle almost. So it's that oval shape that we do see a lot, kind of attaching itself like that. And this becomes part of that roundedness. There we go. All right, now let's see if we can make it not so not so mad. I think that's it for the drawing. Let's get into shading. All right, so the ear, there's just slight shapes in here. Slight shapes. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it goes like that. There's like 3 shapes. 1, 2, 3. Let me zoom in. You can kind of see it like 1, 2, 3. If you're looking at the picture, looking at my drawing, then there's little hairs coming out here. I'm going to draw just the little hairs like that. And I'm going to go ahead and shade the whole thing. A nice even shade. Just like that. I lost my, and there's a little bit of highlights in there that I kind of shaded out. Now I'm going to go even darker. So right at the edge, I'm going to darken it, but bring it in. So I'm losing that line. I'm doing more of rendering. And I'm going in circles. I'm shading using circles, little small circles like that. This side's going to be darker, and actually there's going to be more darkness on this side, on the right side. It's actually a little bit wider. Okay, so it's a little bit wider, comes in a little bit more. All right. All right, with that said and done, this part of the ear has the same thing, but the right side is lighter. So this is probably going to be what some of our lightest shading on that side. And a little bit darker on this other ear. I'm not going totally dark yet because I want to take that. It's the same shade that's inside this ear. We're going to shade the whole cat. this shade right in here, this shade that we did that. So we're gonna shade the whole cat. Hopefully we don't lose any of our,
What is
you
that?
can always go darker. I'm just going back and forth with my shading, just filling the space, filling the whole cat with that shade. Even, oh, I'm gonna keep away from the nose a little bit. Yeah, I'll keep away from the nose. Because there is a highlight on the nose, a really slight highlight. But I'm keeping this one value. It's gonna tie everything together. And I'm going back and forth. And then the more you go back and forth, the more you actually, you're smoother your shading gets, because your pencil actually starts wearing down. Your pencil wears down. And if you have your pencil, you actually hold it like this. Let me zoom out a little bit. Zoom out. So if you hold your pencil down like this, and when you're shading, you're actually, the lead wears down and your shading becomes smoother. At first it's not. If you want to actually, even on the side, wear the pencil down on purpose, get it really dark. Even if you have sandpaper, if you have a little bit of sandpaper, you can actually do it on the sandpaper. And then that wears the pencil down, and then you'll see that your shading is actually smoother.
Mm.
Your shading will be smoother.
Est-ce que tu as vu mon truc de...
And if you just practice that, going back and forth, trying to get that same value over the whole cat. Over the whole cat. Oops. That same shade. Over the whole cat. Yeah, students are scared of shading because they're afraid to make it look dirty. And I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, it's just overcoming that fear. And if it does, oh wow, it does. Sometimes you'll get your fingers smudge into it, especially with charcoal. Somebody actually, ooh, charcoal. We'll do some charcoal drawing. I do have some charcoal. Somebody asked about charcoal. Put it on that wheel. Yeah, pictures are going to go on that wheel, and then I can spin the wheel. I wanted to see how many, I wanted to test that wheel, see how many suggestions I can put on the wheel. I was going to put last week's suggestions and this week's suggestions together on the wheel. Prom night is tomorrow. Prom night. Prom night is tomorrow. They're having it at Santa Anita Park. It's a racetrack. So I said, bring your horses. Tell your prom date, hold your horses. There you go. All right, so a nice even shade over the whole thing. That's our base value, our tone. That's our tone. And then now we're going to go darker here. All right, so we're going to go darker now. We're going to go into the darkness. Zoom in a little more, center it. All right, here we go. So, all right, so now we have that nice tone that actually brings it all together. And then now we're going to go darker right at the top. And try to capture, it doesn't have to be totally smooth because it is a furry cat. It does have fur. So if you have a little bit of texture on it, it's a good thing. So I'm going dark right at the top. Right at the top. Bring that
That's
in
just
actually on this ear.
exactly like Martha
Darkening it up
Stewart
right at the edge
says.
as well.
So this is Martha Stewart's
The
cat.
whole top. There we go, right at the top of his head. And then this whole left side, there's some highlights that are in there. There's some highlights in here, but all this area in here is going to go dark, except for under this, I would call it bags. If you notice the two little bag lines, one side is going to be a highlight and one side is going to be the opposite of that. Actually, it's kind of interesting. And then the shading goes underneath. So I've got the top together. I'm going to try to keep some of this texture in here. Actually, you can actually try to maybe a little bit of texture. I'm just going to do some lines in here, but it's all really just shadow in here. It's all just shadow. All just shadow in here. All this, bring this shadow all in here. Right over there. And then the bag on the left, you want to keep that. And we're just darkening all around it. Don't darken the bag. Don't darken the bag on the left. The bag on the left is a highlight. Not highlight, but where the light is hitting. We can add some texture on top afterwards. We're just getting the tone. This dark cat. Now he's already looking better. Look at that. He's already looking better. Okay. All right. So now the shading of the nose, there is a little bit of a, I'm going to widen this up. That's right there. That little nostril, there is a line in there right in the center. And I'm going to soften my shading. The way I soften my shading, I really make little circles and try to just soften, almost dusting the paper with my pencil lead and like in little circles. The other side's a little bit darker. You're really going to have to, I'm going to zoom in so if you can, I think I need a better quality camera. So you can see the way the light and the dark. If you don't get it, that's okay. The way the light and the dark kind of fit in there. The top of the nose is dark, that same shade. But yeah, there's a lot of little nuances on the nose. Look at the picture and look at the drawing. I'm going to bring this darkness in here a little bit more. And right up to there, there's this, that light shape. I'll probably darken it up a little bit more on this side. Yeah, we're really getting into shading today. So this is intermediate and advanced. Welcome. All right, 39, hanging out. Right, hopefully they didn't knock people out. All right, because I know they got rid of some people. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead above the eye, go darker with above the eye here. I'm gonna go darker above the eye, push it a little bit more. Get a little bit darkness under there, and actually I maybe try to get a little bit of texture. I'm trying to see where the direction of the hair is kind of going, kind of get that. I'm gonna go a little bit darker, pushing it the pencil a little bit more, and then probably go darker in here as well. Bring that down. Look at that. Yeah, so this is values, lights and darks. Yeah, definitely if you're struggling, sorry, I don't know. Hopefully you're not, because I actually broke it down pretty nicely. This is the icing on the cake I talk about. You know, shading comes afterwards. We want to try to get our drawings to be good, and then our shading afterwards. But yeah, and I can just, you know, little darken this a little. All these little fine adjustments. It's not terrible on the shading. There's not terribly complicated. There's only a couple of shades. It's mostly like one. That's a black. All right, so on this other side, shading above the eye. Finishing that V up. Right in there. And then on this side is where it does shade dark. This bag is dark. On that side. There we go. See? There we go. And I did shade. I'm not pushing totally hard like I did on this side. I want to slowly build up to it. I want to get it in there and then see, okay, you can always build it up. Because there's actually there's a lot of little things going on here that I'm not going to do. Just trying to simplify. Keep it simple, student. All right, there we go. Oh, we're going with the shading today. Wow. Now this is why, you know, I don't know, when you guys find your pictures, submit pictures, say, hey, do this, let's do this one. Let's take on this challenge. And because then now we can actually little textures, you can just add the textures on here. See, I'm adding this little textures onto the ear. Notice the little textures onto the ear, a little more texture on this side. The ears have a little more little hairlines. I can add the little hairlines. Even in here, I can add a little bit of hairlines now on top of that shaded area. See, and then maybe a little more hairlines over here, just slight lines. Adding some texture, making it, there we go. Look at that. It's coming along. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Just a tad, little tabby. All right, I'm gonna shade this out a little bit so you don't see it. Let's try to shade it out because it's really just slightly suggested. And then underneath the chin, it goes back dark again. And all this goes dark again. So all this over here is just in darkness. It's dark, 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 dark. I'm just going left to right. It's the quickest way to shade an area, just hatching it. I'm just hatching it. Yeah. Bring this hand out. I'm gonna bring zoom out. I'm bringing this out. I just pulled it out a little bit because I feel like it compared to the head. I'm looking at my proportions. I think I need to bring this out a little bit more. And I can. It's actually easy. It's almost like you're working with clay. You're adding just a little bit more clay, adding a little bit more clay to it, making these adjustments. You got to use your judgment. You're judging the size and shape and shade. All right, it's coming along. All right. Here we go. Good contrast. So back here behind the cat, bring it up a little bit more. See, let's talk about adding clay. Bring it up a little bit more, and it's dark right back in there. And you can see these two lines here. Right under here, this one is dark. Well, this is dark. This whole dark area. 754. Oh my gosh. I'm getting lost in this drawing. I totally got lost in this one. I hit it's called flow when you hit something and you just like lose track of time. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna add a little bit of texture on this side. A little bit of yeah, you can add the texture on top of your shading. Yeah, we've never gone this far with our shading. See, I'm adding a little bit of texture on top, darkening it up. And then this other line here, this was another dark shape. It kind of comes down here like a moon shape. This moon shape right in here. Bring it down. All right, we'll share. So if you want to do your mouse, this one got a little real. Again, it's all shapes. It's all practice. If it turned out great, if it didn't, it's okay. It's not about perfection. It's about the process. How did we do this? We looked at the big shapes, and you might be struggling with something. That's okay. The struggle's good. The struggle's real. And I don't know if what you're struggling with. We all have our own little struggles until they're not, until it's not a struggle, until you get it. It's like, oh, yeah, I've struggled with this stuff. And then I get it. Like, oh, okay. We all struggle with walking. And then you forget that you had struggled with it. You forgot like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember struggling tying my shoes. I remember struggling doing this and that. And then you forget about it. You forget that you had to learn it. You had to struggle a little bit. You had to, before changing lanes, you got to look both ways. And sometimes you just do it automatically. You don't even think you're at where you're at. You just get there without thinking about it. You're on automatic, autopilot. All right, so yeah, we got this big shade in here. If we want to go a little bit darker, we can actually put a little bit darker just with texture on it. Throw some texture on it really quick. This big dark shadow on this side is like an oval shape. Actually, more like an upside down teardrop. Just a whole upside down teardrop shape right in there. I'm going to go ahead and just shade it all in. That's that whole upside down teardrop shape. And then it does go from dark to light a little bit. It does blend out right in here. So once we have a shaded area, it makes blending easier because we put that whole tone in there. We got our lightest light, which is dark. And then you can actually, you know, go darker or shade into it. It makes shading a lot easier, less intimidating. It's like, oh my gosh, because you see that we put that tone in. We put the lightest tone in. And now we can just go darker. We know that we have that tone in there. There we go. And that's how I'm going to approach my painting at the art battle. I'm going to put my tones in. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. You're like, oh, because LA has some really good artists. We get some that show up. It's going to be a good battle. Yeah, I'm going to start practicing. I have my students where they're testing. So next week they're doing this state test stuff. Fun. But in my class, we're gonna paint between breaks. And I'm just gonna bring out the paint. And we're just gonna paint, and they already know. Well, half my classes know. I let half of my classes know that we're doing the battle. I'm gonna be in the battle. And they're like, wow. Some of them want to go. I'm like, it's kind of late. Can't do a field trip. There we go. So with the tail, I'm not explaining the tail. There's that oval shape, and then there's this dark area in there. And then usually light on top, but it's going that way. Definitely it's lighter in there. And then it goes back to that dark shade. And we're just about done. Wow, we did a cat. We had a few people ask for cats. We had people ask for animals. And here we go. Yeah, it's best if you put in pictures. That way I can put it on the wheel. And then we'll spin the wheel. But we only had 2 pictures submitted for this week. And that helps a lot. There you go. If you submit a picture of yourself, hey, we'll draw you. There you go. Wow. Meow. Brought it to life. I would probably add, oh yeah, there is a little bit of shadow on this, a little bit of shade, shadow on this side. So it doesn't look like it's floating so much. Putting a little bit of a shadow on the left side. And there's a reflection of the room. I don't know, put some room lines in the back. And that's it. Look at that. It looks pretty realistic. I didn't think I was going to try to keep it simple. Keep it simple, Chavez. Oh my gosh. I get too complex sometimes. And there's other little shades in here. And then there's a little bit of, I would add a little bit of shadow. I mean, these little subtle shades, really subtle shades. Almost like blocking in is what we actually did, but with shading. And we can add more little subtle. Well, actually, this is out of focus. The body's out of focus, so it can be smoother. You don't have to show texture everywhere all the time. And some of the stuff we can just shade out because it's really just the eyes that we want to get. But wow, I can't wait to see your drawings. I think I did a good job of explaining this one, and even though wow, hopefully you got it. If you didn't get it, you know, keep at it. It's not the end of the world. It's not, you know, I don't know. Sometimes we do want it to look nice, but you don't always hit it. And that's okay. That's okay. Happy accidents. Bob Ross of drawing cats. All right. I don't know if we see any hands or if you want to add more stuff to it, you can add more details. It's 8:01. I like shading. Thanks for the class. I have to go sign out. See you next time. All right, Daniel, thanks for joining us. 7:58. That was 2 minutes ago. I missed it. Thanks a lot. Audio fun class next week. I'll be able to stay longer. All right, Maria, she's out of here. Duh, duh. I'm seeing all this. I loathe using charcoal. Oh my gosh. Eladio, can you hear us? No, actually. Were you talking? I couldn't hear you. I usually can. Mary asks. 7:45. I guess I don't know. Maybe my headphones is on. I don't know. I hear somebody. Well, not everybody's speakers are on. I can see Ina and Yelena's mics are on.
Oh,
There you
I
go.
don't know. That's I cannot figure out the screen.
Oh, somebody asked if I. Okay, cool. Oh, we have an extra person. We lost some people, but we got some new people. Priyanka in the house. All right. Okay, she's got her hand up, ready to share. All right, let's see what you got. Priyanka. Oh, spotlight. What you got? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, but your mic now. There it is. I should be able to hear you now.
Is the video too grainy?
A little bit. That's okay. Ta-da! Wow. All right.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. I mean, I have not shaded that much before. Definitely animals. So I just kept following you, and it turned out way better than I initially thought it would. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Fantastic. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Good form too. It was a challenge. Wow. I tricked everybody. But no, yeah, definitely. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Looks good. All right, cool. Yelena, what you got?
Yeah, it's my first cat.
Oh,
Oh,
But it's
so cute.
the eyes. I could not do it.
oh yeah.
No eyes.
Yeah, it's all right.
So,
Well,
second one, it doesn't work.
oh yeah.
Something wrong, proportion the face. It's
Yeah.
okay. I
It's
can see. Thank you.
good though. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you. It's fun. It's fun. I have a question.
yes.
When you shading,
Uh-huh.
even I use 2B try to shade, but it's depend of the paper probably
Yes.
because you have very smooth. It's how it's happened
Yeah,
because that doesn't matter how I can do. I see the texture of the paper. It is.
yeah, paper makes a set. Yeah, there is a texture to the paper. Yeah, some paper and some stuff. There's some paper that's really smooth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that does make a difference.
That's why. And your shading kind of gray color. What kind of pencil it is?
It is a HB outline drawing pencil. HB. Yeah, it says HB.
Yeah, HB. Just
Mhm.
regular. I have them. Okay. Will work. Thank you.
You. All right, Judy. How you doing? Let's see what you got. Woo.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, you got the mouse too. Your cat looks like he's smiling.
Yeah, when you said yours was frying, I said, okay, I'm gonna make mine smiling. I feel his head's a little bit bigger than his body, and this part back here I think it needs to be darker or something.
Get it closer to the camera. Let me see. Closer. A little higher. All right. Yeah. Probably, you know what it is? Oh, you can shade the bottom part a little bit more so it's not so flat. So
Down
get
here?
a little more rounded. Yeah, bring it down, round it out a little bit more. Yeah,
Okay,
round it out a little more, but it's not a big deal. Not a big deal.
that's fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mary, see what you got. Let's see. All right.
I wasn't sure earlier if you could hear us, but okay.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Hard to do all that darkness on the dark cat,
Yeah,
but
yeah. That no, it looks good. It looks sharp.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, sweet. Good job.
okay, thanks.
Thank you for sharing. All right, Ina, let's go with Ina.
Yep.
I have the cartoon cat. The one that I did earlier.
Mhm. There you go. A lot of color and everything.
Yep.
Dark and clean.
And then this one, I think it depends on my device because I'm on my iPad, and then I also look at my phone, but my phone is like 8+. So I'm not really sure if I see all the values.
Oh, okay. Ah, all right. Yeah.
So like all this area was all like dark for me. I couldn't really see anything.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
kind of made it up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it did flatten it out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's good. All right. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. So I'm going to read a little bit more of the comments. I know somebody said, oh, it was Matthew. I love using charcoal. Is that Morse code? Black cat. LOL. I'm not.
Batman.
Huh?
You know, like Batman.
Oh, da 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 da. Black cat. Yeah. Yeah, it does have those. Yeah, it could be with the little ears that the Batman has. All right, cool. All right. Let's see. Is someone meowing for sound effects? Yeah, that was me. Okay, yeah, a few people made comments.
That was hilarious.
That response. Thanks. It's fun class. All right, good. Thank you. That was great. You're welcome. All right, all right. So so we did shading, and I think somebody had asked, let's take a look at the our requests: human anatomy, sketching, charcoal, perspective, flowers. We should put it. Actually, why don't we go ahead and put it on the wheel? Let's put it on the wheel. Share my screen. Put it on the wheel. There was quite a few perspectives. Yeah. See, if people are going to probably put less pictures because you actually have to look for them, so that'll make it more. There we go. Let me copy that. Oh, let's go to the wheel of names. There it is. Oh, it remembered our last one. Let's erase all our names here. Actually, let me test this out first. I wanted to try it. See how many names. I'm gonna paste. Man. Whoa. Let's paste again. Whoa, actually, oh, you can fit quite a few. Oh, that's interesting. And I can probably spin and then take some out. I have 109 on 198. Wow, look at that. They all fit face, ocean, birds. We have a winner, birds, but that's not official. Actually, I don't know. Maybe we should. I had another one. Let me see. There we go. See now that's more. Oh, and there's some empty spots. We're gonna draw nothing. Where's our empty spots? I think this might be one of them. Empty spots. Oh, that's weird. Okay, let's spin. Let's see what happens. And we get flowers, acrylic. Oh, see, that's something. Acrylic and comic books. See, that's a very general. And acrylic, that would be good to do acrylic stuff. Definitely in the advanced class when we get to advanced stuff, like now. But we'd have to prepare. Probably, definitely after the summer, or actually when in July. Oh, I removed it. Yeah, there we go. So it does remove. Let's spin it again. Comic books. Yeah, comic books would be good. There's a lot to comic books. Blank. Let's see what comes up. We have a winner. Oh, let's remove it. Remove all instances. There we go. We get the blank spots. Oh, what are we gonna draw? We're gonna draw. This is it. A charcoal portrait. A portrait. No charcoal. All right. Oh, and then, oh man, that was a good one too that somebody had asked for. All right, so we'll do portraits. Okay, but who? You see, if you show me a picture, portraits of an actual person. As I've talked about the proportions of a face, but if we actually go into drawing an actual person, That makes it a whole different. I've actually painted that one before. That portrait of power. Say, hey, let's draw this one. Look at that one. Look at that emotions on that. A lot of shading and stuff. That one's interesting too. Look at that. The wrinkles and the. Well, this is doable. Definitely more advanced. It's interesting. Light sources. Yeah, speaking of light sources, you can see the light. There's light on the left, light on the right. It's really well lit. Angelina, is that Angelina? Yeah. Creepy celebrity portraits. Yeah, she's stretched out a little bit. Huh. Yeah.
Oh, I like the one that's half and half, half and half.
Half and half.
Right, that one. Where your thumb, where the pointer is. Yeah.
That one.
I don't know why that just hits me as beautiful.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
Looks like Angelina.
Yeah, I think it is.
Really strong light. It gets rid of a lot of the stuff in here.
And there's nothing on the one side. It's just all light.
Yeah, it's just the eye.
Well, you can keep looking, but that just struck me.
Yeah, see, that would be good. See if people put then we can just spin the wheel, whatever comes up from Einstein to.
Some of these guys have really old, raggedy lines in their face.
Yeah. Wrinkles. Like this one, this actually face looks complicated, but it's not. And because the eyes, a lot of the details like out. And this actually face would probably be not too bad to do. Because you don't have to worry about the lips. All this is just this texture of this face in here. So I think let's go with this one. It's not, it's if you took on the cat, this would be a good one to take on. Let's copy image address. So let's go for this one. All right, there it is. That's the one. Ooh, I have a lot of stuff in that's ultra advanced. It looks ultra advanced. Musician with instrument. You see, this is where, ooh, yes, comic style too. Yes, comic style is, see that, find the pictures. This is hypnosis. Oh, funny. Our spinning wheel. You will be drawing better. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe. Get the cants out of your pants. Yeah, and it's just breaking it down. All right, that's ultra advanced. Yeah, this one's, yeah, it's advanced. So is the cat, but we did it. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put it in the chat. That should be this man. Oh, Marianne has her hand up. I see Marianne. Do you have your hand up? Did you want to share something? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. So I'm going to stop sharing. We'll be doing this drawing, and let's see. Go with Marianne. See what you got.
Sorry, it took me a while. Oh,
it's all right. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But there you go. Look at that.
The shading is what I've been wanting to work on. So thanks for showing that. I'm still a newbie at learning how to do the shading better, but
no, that's really good. That's cool. Super. Over here we got another one with shading. All right. Brienne sends a heart. Her heart just disappeared. All right. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, the shading is something. Yeah, the whole approach of seeing where the lightest dark is, and then just shading the whole thing, getting that tone in first kind of breaks in that whole space, and then you just build up on it. You build layers. All right, so here's our drawing. We're gonna do this one. It's a lot of shading, so I'm gonna do it small. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, you know. What's the saying? It says anything worth doing is worth doing as long as it takes, or or doing badly. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly until you get it. So it's just, you're playing the long game. There's what's his name talks about it. He's the one who does the he has a really famous TED talk. He talks about playing the long game. His TED talk, about starting with why. And I have his books and his name is escaping me. I don't know if anybody knows. Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek. All right, so I'm going to start, speaking of starting with why. He talks about playing the long game. It's a good talk. All right, so I'm going to start with the oval shape, this oval shape, because the whole head's kind of like built on this oval shape. So oval shape, right above the center a little bit is my that axis line, and then this axis line, get my axis lines in, get them in really lightly. Try to get them light. And zoom in a little bit. There we go. It's really an oval shape. All right. Okay. And I usually I usually spot them in here, right in here, and try to get the placement, but the placement's not that important because it's all in darkness. And the nose is going to go right about there, and I'm seeing this triangular shape here. The nose is right about there. The whole mustache is right in there. And I'm looking at here, when I did these little circle eyes, it's the placement that's what is important. It's the center of from here to that edge to that edge. All right. Now, and then my eyes, this line is above the center. I brought it up a little bit higher because there's a lot of stuff going on down here with the mouth and the mustache. All right. Okay. Let's see, I'm trying to break it down before I start digging in, because something like this, I feel like I'm just going to dig in and just dig in on one part and just go through the whole thing. But I'm trying to block it in. All right. I'm going to block in this whole eye. So, and it's okay to lose it. So I'm just getting this. Usually there's an eye space between the eyes. And what I mean by an eye space, the width of an eye goes between the eyes. But that kind of gets lost because all this eye is in darkness. But we can kind of pretend that they are there. I'm kind of like doing these letter D shapes. I guess I call them D shapes because the bottom is flat and then the top is kind of rounded. Now don't get, this is going to be like the cat because it looks like it's hard, but it's actually, there's a lot of little cheats in there. As long as you kind of get it, we can kind of fix it. All right. And the nose. Okay, so I have my two rounded shapes. Now it's kind of flat. The bottom is flat and it kind of pushes in slightly. I mean, if you want to get this, there is a slight push in like that, very slight. You can see it on the right eye. This left eye kind of didn't get it, but that's okay because all this is going to be in darkness. I'm going to lose all of that in a minute. I'm going to shade it all out. Simplify. Okay. And let's see. I'm gonna dig in there. How's everybody doing? All right. Comments? May I ask you to show the screenshot? Oh, the portrait. Yes, I will show it again. Share my screen again. And there it is. Ooh. Yeah, it looks difficult, but it's actually, there's a lot of simplified stuff you don't have to worry about. This one, we're going to be worrying about the shading and worrying about the other stuff. So, all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I've got my eyes, and that's where the eyes are going to be. I'm going to bring it in because it does come in a little bit more. And that's from where the eyes are usually. So the bridge of the nose, that bridge of the nose is this shape here down to that nose. This nose down here, there's a little bit of a turn. Let me zoom in so you don't, yeah, maybe I should have drawn it bigger. But I know because I want to try to get the shading. Maybe we can just simplify. Don't know. All right, it's all good. So I've got this shape here. There is a slight curve to it, little detail. And I'll add a nostril on one side. And then the nostril on the other. They're not, it's not symmetrical. But if you make it symmetrical, that's okay. This one actually comes out a little bit more. And then the bottom right here is more rounded. This part right here is rounded. It's almost like a W. And then a lot of the stuff we're going to shade out. So when we go to shading it, we're going to shade a lot of this stuff out. Okay, yeah, because, all right. Now I'm going to go in with the eyebrows. I'm going to put in the eyebrows because all this is in shade. If you kind of get it, that's great because the shading will kind of make it more real. So that you've got this crease right in there, that crease that kind of comes up. And then the eyebrow, that top eyebrow is all in here. And I'm already adding texture to it, but it's this eyebrow that kind of goes over it. And all this eye gets lost in here and shaded, that whole area in there. Bring some of that eyebrow up. Yeah, there we go. See how all this is just like almost a one piece now. All right. There's a little bit of a bridge. I'm going to shade it across as I cross that nose bridge. As I cross the bridge, I'm going to shade that nose just slightly. And then I'm going to bring that crease on the left side up. And then bring that same thing with that eyebrow kind of down. There's a little bit of an eyelid. I'm going to put a little bit of that eyelid in there. There's all kinds of textures. I'm putting a little bit of eyelid right on top. And then the eyebrow gets lost into the head right in there, right about there. So yeah, if you can capture that, I'm going to shade, actually, I'm going to lose a lot of this stuff. I'm going to shade it all in because it's all kind of like one solid shape almost. All this is like in a solid. If I squint my eyes, I can see all this is kind of like just dark in here. And that's what makes it easier because it all gets lost in the dark. And if you can nail the eyes, that's it. It's half the battle right there. So there you can see those eyes. I'm going to zoom this, shade it all in and try to nail those eyes just like that. And if it looks like a bird wings, hey, they look like bird wings. Try to shade that in, so you don't have to worry about pupils and irises and highlights and stuff like that. And just all be dark in there like that. Old Man in the Sea. Okay. I'm pausing here a little bit, so just to make sure that you get it. Make sure you get what I have. And then here also, if you kind of like also imagine, I'm going to draw it in here. Imagine from this eye to the nostril. That also gives you another shape, almost like a diamond shape. You can almost see, if you can use your imagination, and see almost like a diamond shape. All right. All right. There are some little bit of wrinkles underneath. I can add a little bit of wrinkles, but just really lightly putting them in. This wrinkle on this right side actually is almost like a shaded shaded part. So right there. And then shade the nose. I'm gonna bring that nose, a little bit of a shade in here. On the nose. Just like I did the bridge, almost that same shade on the left and the right. And it's the little nuances too that like I'm softening it. It's a soft shade. It's not really hard edge shade. It's really soft. I'm almost like a feathering. I'm feathering the edges. So it kind of blends out slightly. There's no harsh edge, especially because it's rounded. The nose is rounded. There we go. And then I'm gonna round the nose. A little bit of shadow under here. There's a little bit of a coarse shadow because you get a little bit of a reflected light underneath. Bring it up. I am giving it a little bit of form. Yeah, this is, that other face would be good, would have been good. The one that somebody suggested. So yes, this is definitely more advanced. So if you're taking it on, awesome, congratulations. You know, that's how you're gonna improve by not eating baby food all the time, the beginner stuff. You gotta, it's good to do a balance of both. Seeing shapes and stuff. All right, now there's a crease around the nose. It comes out and down. So I'm going to do that crease right in there and on the right side as well. There's this crease.
Are you still using the HB pencil?
I'm still using the HB pencil. HB.
Oh.
There it is, HB. It's all HB. It's all one shade. I know I should have like B pencils and other shades, but I'm just using one. A good question. You get brownie points. All right, so let me see. I want to get rid of the lines. The way I'm getting rid of the lines, I want to soften them up, but on the this is where the cheek kind of comes in. I'm shading up to the cheek. Like right there, look at, see, right in there. See how I just did that? Especially that top side. And then the right side. Shading up. I'm just working from the center out. And there we go, shading it up, shade up. Let me soften this shade over here on the side. All right. See the cheeks in here, these cheeks. I'm going to shade the cheeks in slightly, really slight shade, not as dark. Cheek on the left, cheek on the right. Back and forth, back and forth. The pencil moves really fast. Just practice from shading. Just going, just my pencil just going up and down, just hatching really tightly. All right. Put a little more shade underneath that eyebrow. Just pushing it back slightly. Pushing it back on this side slightly. It's really light shading. All right. Wow, that's not too bad. Hopefully you get it. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, am I explaining it right? This is not easy. It's not simple. But well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's there's different challenges. How about we put it that way? It's different challenges. It's more on value. All right, so there is this straight line, straight up and down, right in here, this line on the left side. straight up and down. That gives you how far this side of his face goes. Then there's a little bit of a line that actually a little bit of a curve to that hair. There's like slight hair. So I'm just going to keep that hair right in there. And then I'm going to just shade up and out. Now, this is where I need to go back in here and actually do some of the drawing, because I'm already going into detail and I didn't get the drawing. All right, so I will do that. So let's go into some of the structure. All right, so the top of the hat. Now I'm noticing the forehead. The hat does go a little bit to the left. So if we just, I can almost imagine my finger pushing this thing that way and kind of like, or squeezing this rubber band shape, you know, to the left. Bringing this right side down makes it asymmetrical. See, I'm cutting this side. Actually, I'm cutting this side down. Right there, pushing it over. Up and over, trying to get that shape of his hat. And then the hat goes over this hair. Actually, there's a little bit of a, I'm blending it all in right now. So, but there's this oval shape here that's pushed to the left, and then the hat goes over this. All this is going to be in the darkness. Let's see, I'm just going to put this beanie. It's like a beanie that goes up and over. Oh, let me zoom out. It goes up and over his head, and then comes down. And there is this whole dark spot. So you have, this is the part that's closest to his face, this line here, and then there's this thickness of a dark shadow that goes around that. Right in there, kind of like that. All right. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, yeah, there's going to be a lot of shading in the outside. All right, now we're going to just all right, bring that down, bring this in a little bit too. I think I might have to bring, I gave him too much forehead. So I'm going to just a little bit of textures, just little lines for the eyebrows, adding little slight strokes. That really just comes with experience and seeing and trying to record what you see. Okay, so here, this forehead, this whole area right here, let me actually draw it out. This left side is all going to be like a really light shade, like right in here, this whole area, this left side up to this line right there. See that line? I'm going to get rid of that line by shading all inside and making that line an edge instead of a line or a contour. Shade all that. Here we go. Yeah, we did have quite a few requests for, and also charcoal. I think charcoal would be a request that we'd have to like, okay, next week we'll be doing charcoal. So if it would have landed there, because not everybody's going to have charcoal. And that would be something to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. Now that the hat looks really big, we might have to adjust it, but it's there. So now the beard actually starts coming out here. There's little stray hairs out here. I'm going to see the shape of the mustache. This mustache shape is going to be somewhere in this area like that. Looks like a half moon, but it's going to be lost in that shape, in that area, that space. And then the beard actually almost looks like it's a upside down heart shape. It looks like there's like a, there. And all this is more than just shading, it's texture. It's a really nice texture. Oh, it reminds me of a painting I did. And I actually made the painting really thick. Let's see if I could find that picture. It was like a year ago. I think I did share it, but I'll take a look for it. I'll take a little break. There it is. So that's the whole area where the beard and everything else is dark. I mean, we're gonna have to really just get a pencil and just really go dark. All this outside part, all the outside part is just dark. He's got some kind of leather jacket. All this is dark. Yeah. See, notice how smooth that shading is. Once my pencil is broken down and I can just go, I'm just going back and forth really quickly. Just got really quick, smooth shade in there. Because yeah, the lead gets flattened out. It's almost like shading like this with a pencil like this. Notice how much surface area it's not just a point like this. This is why it's hard to shade with mechanical pencils, because mechanical pencils give you a sharp edge all the time. And here I'm holding my pencil really low.
You can put an ankle, huh?
Yeah. And here you can, once it's worn down, you can like go back and forth really fast and get a nice shade in there. Let me zoom out so you can see it. I'm just working the pencil. Fast shading all that whole background. I don't want to shade that beard too much, because that most of that is going to be just textured lines. And I can go darker. I can build up my dark areas because the hat, yeah. So I'm going to go dark in this area here. This whole area right there of that hat beanie is dark in that kind of area like this. Yeah, we did save a lot of steps by not drawing the eye parts and all the little details. And we can lose the beanie can get lost in there. I'm gonna go a little bit darker right at the beanie. Push that a little bit darker, just a shade darker. I'm just going back and forth, left to right at an angle. Notice my shading angle. And it keeps a nice little consistency, ties everything together. Now I can add some of that texture to the hat. Just gonna go right on top of it and just go these vertical lines, a little bit of spacing. You can see me doing these lines, just going back and forth. And close together. And that beanie. And I can go darker on the outside. I would probably get a B pencil, one of the B pencils to get a little bit darker. Building up that darkness on the outside. A little more contrast too, so I'm going to push that shading on the outside a little bit more. There we go. Kind of like that. All right. Now all we got to do is we can do the beard, the texture of the beard. I'm going to start with a mustache. There's still a bit of a shadow underneath the nose, so I'm going to do that shadow first. A little bit of a shadow under the nose. Get that shadow in there. Shadow of the nose. Let me zoom in so you can see what I just did. I just did the shadow underneath the nose. And then now it's just the little hairs. And you can do like little dots, some dots, and just these little strokes, little lines and dots. Little lines. And this is where you're trying to capture the texture. Underneath this part right here, I'm going darker as well as I'm doing my lines, this whole area in here, because this goes darker in here. And I'm actually even doing, yeah, a little bit of a line in there, because this is it goes dark in here. Occlusion. It's occluded. Occlusion shadow. A little more texture in here, more lines and dots, mostly lines, that texture. So I'm just focusing on the mustache, trying to get that mustache in there. Lines. And I did go darker as I went in here. There's where the mouth is. It's a little darker around the mouth in there. Now the beard is darker on this side. So that makes the mustache pop out. I'm like all this area in here goes a little bit darker. So I'm shading that darker. See that whole shade in there? And then just hairs on top of that. Just in that texture, that feel. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's fine. Oh, this is dark. So, yeah, notice how dark it is in this area right here. That really makes that mustache pop out. And then here it goes light again. And then just little lines. You need to buy charcoal. Charcoal is a good way to learn to shade because you can shade really quickly with charcoal. It's a double-edged sword. I actually like using a grease pencil. There was a while I was just using a grease pencil for my class, for this class. All right, I'm gonna soften up my shading on the nose. I mean the under here, actually adding a little more, little soft lines to darken it up because I think it's too light. Just right on top of it. This is fun to kind of shade with texture. We're really just shading with texture. I'm just adding these lines and just shading with texture. You can kind of see me just shade with texture. I'm trying to see the direction of the line. And just shade with texture and line. On the left and the right. And I'm not explaining it, I'm just doing it. So trying to keep a light line on this right side, light, just like on the left side. This left line right there, this one, there's a right one. Bring that shading all the way up to that cap. I'm going to soften up that whole edge of the cap. Now that I have it really strong, this cap right here edge, I'm going to soften up that edge. I'm going to put some lines on top of it, but just soften it up. See, by doing these lines right here, these strokes, hatching, it softens it up. So it's not, you're going to lose that edge a little bit. It makes it rounder. Let's see, just right on top of it. I'm adding all this texture. So as I'm shading, I'm adding lines. texture. Makes it look like, whoa. And it's all, I mean, it's really just, I'm just doing lines. It's textured lines. It makes it look so, I don't know, it looks like it's a lot of work. It kind of is, it's work, but it's not like, I don't know. I'm just making these little lines. Little hatchlings. Right on top. This texture. Now this mustache, this beard, I'm sorry. This beard is not gonna pop unless we shade the bottom part darker. So we need to, it kind of pops now because it is lighter, but we can go darker in this background here. I'm gonna push this background darker. A little bit more. Right underneath. Yeah, I see it. Right underneath. No, you can't see it. Right underneath. I'm pushing it just a little bit darker. Getting the whole thing in the background dark. Zoom out.
Wow. It looks like it.
Looks like it, huh?
Yeah, from afar. Cool.
The further the better.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Yeah, so I'm just shading all this. Is just a floating head. There is a kind of leather jacket and stuff. I mean, I can kind of suggest it in there. But there we go. All right. For some of you, this is probably the most realistic. Oh, well, this is actually one of the most realistic faces we've drawn. I think this is, yeah, this is, because we've mostly done how-tos. This is a realistic face.
You bring closer to see the beard.
Yes.
Thank
The
you.
texture I'm doing, look at just little hatch lines. And notice how it went darker right around the mouth. And just little texture lines. Little dots. Almost just peppering it. Pepper. Old Man in the Sea. I can hear him now. I was out at sea. You should have seen the fish.
Is that your voice, Claudio?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Good, Eladia.
Do that again.
Do it again. I know. I do. My animation class. I do my students. I do voices for my students' animations. Yeah, sure. Old Man.
Go on American Idol.
America's Got Talent.
Yeah. Did you see the episode where the Englishman taught a dog how to meow?
No.
The dog could meow and also can talk.
Oh, wow. So I'm shading here and there. I'm looking back and forth at the picture and my drawing and seeing where I can make adjustments. And there's always sometimes like a little fine adjustments. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit darker here, a little more there, but kind of got the the gist, a lot of the shading in the right spots. I can add like a little more wrinkles, a little more push of a shadow here or there, a little more texture. I can add like a crow's feet. Yes, I got some crow's feet. I can probably add those on one side, more on the other. I'm just looking back and forth at my picture and at the picture and the drawing. A little more shading here and there, a little more texture. That's not too bad. I can't wait to see what yours looks like.
Not as good as you.
Oh, I've been drawing for a long time. It's just the pencil mileage. The more you practice, the more you'll progress. And just stuff like this, just trying it. Just trying it, you know. So I'm looking at it and yeah, it's not, there's little adjustments. Until you say, okay, that's it. I'm gonna leave it alone. All right. And especially if it's a sketch, you know, this is something between a drawing and a sketch. When you're spending more time and really refining it, and it's becoming more of a drawing. But you want to practice your sketching, really quick stuff. Yeah, like the art battle. I'm gonna practice my painting sketching. Get ready for that art battle. I'm gonna practice all next week. It's already set. My classroom, I'll be practicing in my classroom. I'm gonna tell my students, hey, okay, what do you? Actually, I'll bring them in. I'll bring the paintings in. Yeah, I can do that for next week. So that's my next week. That'll keep you. Oh, that'll get you to come back. That's going to be the cliffhanger. Oh, what is it going to paint? I'm going to have my students. Hey, they'll request something, and then I'll just paint it 20 minutes or less. Dominoes.
Does it make a big difference the paper you use to sketch?
I'm sorry.
The type of paper, the grain of the paper, sketch
Yeah,
paper.
yeah, there is different grains, different textures. I'm just using bond paper.
Bond paper.
Yeah, just bond paper. It's nothing special. But yeah, some will give you more texture, and it does make a difference on your approach. And same thing with canvas. Canvas like linen is really smooth, and then you have cotton. Cotton will give you more texture, and you can actually do more dry brush and use that texture to your advantage.
Mm.
And it's just understanding the materials, and the only way you understand them is by using them and then trying different ones, and then, like, you know, but you want to get just get whatever's out there.
Okay.
And whatever you have at hand. But yeah, there's different kinds.
Oh, wow. You know, I would not tackle this drawing without your help.
I know.
It's
That's
just
the
way
thing.
too hard,
Yeah, well, yeah.
but I am amazing.
But because, you know, I can see what, you know, like myself, you know, some of the stuff that's simplified, the eyes, you don't have to worry about, you know, you're just seeing the big shapes. And even drawing it upside down and looking at, you know, drawing upside down would help. We might even do that. Try to draw something by looking at it upside down.
My eyeballs look like they're out of its sockets.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how everybody did. And see, and so sometimes it's the way I explain it. I'm like, oh, okay, I should have explained this that way. Like with the horse, I should have explained this, or I should have, you know, emphasized something. You know, those things that I've struggled with, and it's good. I mean, it's fine to struggle with it. It's like, oh, okay, next time. There's always a next time. There's always a next time. Unless you're getting paid for it, and you gotta, okay, okay, do it again, but fix it. But I mean, that's the thing. Mistakes are only this thick. You know, you can erase them or start over, get another paper, and put it right on top of it, right? And then just, and yeah, it's just putting your, you know, you can't sing the blues until you pay your dues.
Eladio, can I see the top of the cap, please?
The top
Just
of the
above
cap.
the cap? No,
Oh.
not the cap, the cap. Yeah.
Yeah, I just shaded.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's all just dark. I can actually go darker. It's good practice. I'm just going back and forth, back and forth. This is just good pencil exercise. But we're practicing with a purpose because we're doing it. And if you know, and the more you practice, you'll get better and better. But this is practicing with a purpose because you're doing it for a reason. But if it just practices the background, just get it really dark. Just going back and forth, back and forth. It's good. to practice.
Good way to sharpen your pencil.
Yeah. Are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain. I can't hear you.
Sure, I'll show you mine.
Right. Who's ready to?
Judy.
Judy.
Oh, we still have 25 people. Do I want to show it to 25 people?
Yeah. All right. Wow, that's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Woohoo. Look at that.
Oh,
Wow.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
You're welcome. Oh,
It
man.
does look different when you look at it this way. I'm looking
Yeah.
like, oh, he's got jowls over here.
Yeah. You can go a little darker with your background and it'll make him pop more. But
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, my pen's just about out.
Yelena, let's see, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Oh, look at you.
Oh, yeah.
wow.
Leave it up there.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's actually the very first time. It looks
Really?
like a person.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, thank you. It's very encouraging. Thank
Great.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you and good night.
Good night, Yelena.
Good night.
There's a-
Night.
Night, good night.
Good job. Nice.
Because it's 12 o'clock, midnight. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Sweet dream.
Good night.
All right, good night. Regina, let's see what you got. Regina. All right. Spotlight. Wow. Look at that.
Wow. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got a nice
Nice.
I like the nose.
you can push the cap back a
I
little.
love that you drew the shoulders too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mine's like a floating head.
Yeah.
My drawing.
We all
Yeah,
have
mine
floating
too.
heads.
Did you say I could push the cap back?
Yeah, just put a little bit more of a shade so there's a little more, a little more
Green
contrast.
on the top?
Yeah, a little
Okay.
shade the whole cap a little bit more.
Okay.
Just a little bit, but that's good. Awesome. I like the way you have kind of like these angular lines on it that give it a style or give it a certain. It's pretty cool.
I don't think I would have tackled this with the beard and all, but I
Oh,
like
yeah.
to knock it down. Thank you.
Glad you did. Thank you. All right. Thank you for sharing, Christy. Let's go, Christy. You gotta show your face first. I mean your video. There we go. Oh wow, you got some good. dark-
Nice.
I don't know. Can you see?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it. He's peeking through.
It was challenging. I would not have picked this picture at all.
Well, I'm glad you took on the
Thank you.
challenge. That's what it's about. That's what makes you a hero.
Can I show you what I did last week?
Yes, of course.
I think we did the robots.
Yeah, the robot. That was a tough one.
Well, this is my first robot.
Yeah, well, there he is. People did really well. We went fast with it too. Yeah.
And then I did the that face. I don't know, that monster face. That was
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Every fang that was there.
Yeah, you did. You got all each fang. That's cool.
Except I did it too high, so I didn't get the head.
Oh, the horns. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Next time. But you got the important stuff. Good. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for challenging me.
Oh, good. Thank you for taking it on. That's what it's about. All right. Thank you, Christy. Let's go with Marianne. Let's see what you got. There you go. Whoa. I've seen that kid. I've seen that guy. He looks like one of the guys on the Disney ride of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
The Pirate of Caribbean.
It's like a mug shot or like a wanted posters. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it definitely has
That's
a.
good.
I was impressed by, you said did you have a 2B or 2H? Which pencil were you using?
No, just actually HB.
Oh, yeah, because I was using 2H and that's what I've
Oh,
been
that's
using, but I can't get like, it only goes so dark and I feel like I can't get that range of value. So then I tried the 2B, but so it's HB that you have?
I have an HB, yeah, which is in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, that's probably better to get like the lights and the darks.
Well, I'm pushing really hard. I'm pushing really hard as well. So yeah, but I like that your cap has that nice texture on there. See, and that's the shade Regina needs to get hers on her drawing. And you got a nice texture and a good form on it. And you need to get your background shaded like she did. So a little more of a
Yeah, so it's not a wanted poster.
no, it looks good. I like it. It looks good. It looks good. You can stop there. I mean, they're just sketches. You can always say, oh, it's just a sketch. Yeah, because people like, I don't know. If you don't need the justification, but it looks good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. All right, let's go with Brianne. Brianne, see what you got. You got to put your camera on.
Yeah, if I can. Here we go. All right. There's my guy.
There he is.
I like the cap.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So what you're doing is you're drawing what you think you see. You put in the eyes and the pupils and stuff like that instead of shading them out. Trying to get yeah. So you want to
I did. It's true.
Yeah, no, I see it. Yeah. Well, no, that's good. You're tackling stuff that's you want to focus on the shapes, but that's good.
Love the expression in the eyes.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Show it again. Yeah, it definitely has a bit of an expression. He's really focused. He's got like, yeah. Reminds me of the drawing we did of Biden when we did Biden. He's got those little.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Those were fun caricatures.
Thanks for taking that on. Your proportions are looking there. The placement of it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that one's it's coming along. Getting there. That's fun. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Let's go with Priyanka or Mary. I think did we get you Mary already? No. Okay, let's do Mary. Mary, you're next. There we go. Spotlight you. What you got? Oh, we got a lot of hands out tonight.
I think Priyanka was first, but that's okay.
You were actually first. You were actually, wow, look at that.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, he has a really weather-beaten face. I like that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I like the cross hatching.
Wow.
But the beard, I need to work more on the beard, but yeah.
No. You've captured captured a lot of the nuance in the shading and the form. You know what is the form. You really captured the solidness of the shape. So have you shaded form before? Because it looks like you have.
I have. I've taken drawing and painting classes in college and after college, but I have to like the subject for me to really do it well. And I like doing human faces and what are animals. So
okay, so your experience
shows.
His head matches his shoulders. He all fits together as a human. Mine's a skinny head in the air, and so
yeah, you, Judy.
yeah, you can hear my voice.
I know you, Judy. Yeah.
But that's beautiful. Yes, I can see your shading. It's great.
Great form, yeah.
Thanks.
Solid.
I love how the cap really encompasses the face.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I like the flow of the beard.
That's really solid.
So great. Yeah. And then the highlights on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
that's really good.
The highlights on the cheeks. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the form. It's well rounded.
Right.
I like doing cross hatching more than the shade because I did use the stipple pencil, whatever. I mean, I tried on the cat, but the cross hatching is a little bit more meaningful for me. So, yeah.
You didn't cross hatch on this one anywhere, did you?
Yeah, I did. Can you see it?
Wait, I'm not
Whole
sure.
thing.
I see hatching.
That's
The
so
hat,
cool.
Yeah.
the face has lines on it. So
Yes.
Oh, okay,
That
line.
is- That is so good.
The wrinkles you got. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the shape of the beard is also like very sharp, because I think that was like the toughest thing for
Yeah,
it.
white beard is tough, unless you do
Yeah.
all the background.
Yeah.
And the little wisps of hair on the side coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Okay.
Oh,
Great job.
I have to ask, what kind of pencil did you use for that?
I usually use 2B and it gets messy, so I tried HB because Laudia was saying he was using like a B or an HB.
Okay.
2B works usually, but it gets a little messy, darker. So I went lighter and then I added some 2B on top.
Cool. Looks so good.
Thanks.
Christy, turn your camera on. Oh no, Priyanka, I'm sorry, Priyanka, you're next. I'm almost skipping you. I almost jumped you and I was skipping you. There we go. Hold on. Oh, what happened? Hold on. I added instead
I'll
of.
put both of us.
There you go. All right. Wow.
wow, that's really good too.
Wow.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Sweet. He
What
does
pencil did you use?
I used HB.
to be.
HB?
HB, yeah.
Oh, HB, huh? HB.
Wow, you got the heads really dark.
Yeah. With darker. with
Yeah,
that.
for some reason this HB can really get dark. It's an HB, yeah.
Wow.
It's an HB2. Is that a thing? I don't know if you can see it. Okay.
He looks as weathered as your eraser.
Huh?
I said he looks as weathered as your eraser.
Yeah.
You definitely see him out in the ocean trying to be a fisherman. He's got that fisherman look.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Very nice. The textures, good size too. Good size on that. That's I went smaller with mine. Okay, Christy, let's see. Thank you, Priyanka, for sharing. Christy, let's see. You're next.
I thought I saw show you already.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Is there another Christy?
Hey, Christy Wu, no, I think that's it. All right, we're gonna go Ine.
Okay. Now let's see the other ones.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
I can't really, my background, I can't really nail the background for some reason.
Huh, what do you mean?
I don't know. I just don't like how I shade it somehow.
Okay. Looks like you smudged it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's a good practice because it's a whole area. Really
Yes.
And it really gives you something to do. Sweet. All right, thank you for sharing. All right, let's go with Josie. All right, hold on. Oh, I lost you. Oh, you disappeared. Hold on. We go to gallery. Oh no, I think I lost you. She left. Oh, there she is. I see it. Sorry. It's because I have some people that still, oh, there you go. Wow.
Nice.
Very good. You did the pupils, but they really go right there.
Love the nose.
Yeah.
Lights on the nose.
Yeah. The side, yeah, it really pops. Noses are tough. Tough.
Yeah, really tough.
Got that bridge.
Yeah, I tried my best, but I'm glad the way it came out. The beard was hard for me.
Yeah, he's starting to get a little bit of that texture. Yeah, it's getting comfortable with adding that texture, and like you once you get comfortable, like, oh, okay, boom, you just knock it in there and you get that feel. All right, and Matthew says thanks for the sessions. Going to bed now. All right, good night. Thanks again. Goodbye, everyone. And thank you, Josie, for sharing. Excellent. Wow. All right, I think that's it. Let me see. Go to gallery again. I don't know if there was a heart right there. I don't know if it was for Brianne for the last drawing, for Josie's or what. All right, we 9:10. I'd love to stand out a little bit longer. I don't know if you have questions or however, it's always trying to find your challenge and find your wall. Sometimes you'll hit it and like, oh, don't run from it. Say, okay, here's my wall. This is what I'm having trouble with. I'm having trouble with hands. And then just, say, okay, realize the wall is there. And then just take it on. Just say, okay, I'm going to work on hands for a while because that's where I'm struggling or just do it. Just do stuff for fun. All right. I think that's it for another week of drawing here. Oops, I'm zooming in on my face. Don't get scared. Yes.
Show you my drawing again. I just softened the top.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
I
Oh,
made the top softer.
Uh-huh.
And it
Yeah,
does
yeah.
make it does make him stand out a lot more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Am I spotlighting you? Okay, wait a minute. I have somebody else spotlighted still, I think.
I have Josie.
There we go. Yeah, there you go. That's better. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I need in the top more. So it does look like it's receding further back.
Yeah, yeah. It's getting the different values. A variety, I call it a variety of values. Making sure you're getting the variety of values. Yeah.
It reminds me of Van Gogh Postman.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
that painting?
Yeah, I do know the painting.
Yeah.
With the
Oh,
big-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love the eyes, right around the eyes. I love it.
Yeah, you've got your energy of line. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Energy
that's
of the
really
line.
good.
It has a really good energy.
Thank you for the tip.
All right. All right. I think we're gonna call it a night. 9:12. We'll call it a little early.
Yes.
I think yeah, it's still a school
Thank
night.
you so much, Eladio.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. This was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, and submit the pictures. That way we can see, okay, let's take on this one. Let's take on that one. I know the one that somebody submitted for next week is like the basic structure of the faces.
Where do we submit them again?
You can submit them actually on the meetup when you sign up for the class, or you can let me see. I think that's probably the best. That's where I'm getting them from. Or you can at the beginning of the class when you come in. Yeah, I can add it to the wheel at the beginning of the class or before. I can just always add it. Like, okay, there it is. I can just copy and paste it from the and actually, yeah, I copy and paste it and put it into the wheel. So we'll see what picture we draw. And actually, that's a fun way.
When we signed up, how do we do this? When we signed up,
Yeah. Let me.
and there's a question they ask what kind of drawing you want.
Yes. There's
You can submit there. Oh,
you can submit it there. That's how I got it. All right, Mom, you're welcome. Thanks so
okay.
much.
Thank you for the
Okay,
channel.
thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, good night,
See you next
everybody.
week.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.